want any of that. That's what's happening in America right now. Oh my gosh, help! They know how to package it. Well, forget about the packaging, and let's look what's actually in the package. What does it mean to be a conservative? I don't even know anymore. I know what it means to me. It means to me personal responsibility. That if I've done something wrong, it's up to me to pay the price. It's up to me to make it right. Personal responsibility. Don't talk to me about your childhood. You want to hear me go on about my childhood? No, I don't want to hear about your childhood. I don't care what happened in your childhood. What's happening today? What are you doing today? We have a right to fail. We have a right to fail. No. This is a God-given right. We have a right to fail. Without failure, there is no growth. 15 years ago, I was completely broke. I was completely out of control. I had no answers in my life, none. I was living in a little one-room apartment. I'd lost my family, everything. My whole life was spiraling out of control. I was on the fetal position of my apartment. Am I going to die? Or I'm going to figure it out and live? Because no one was there, if somebody would have been there to hold me up, I wouldn't have been down here enough to be able to dust myself off and say, no, I'm not going to spend my life here. I'm going to stand up on my own 2 feet, figure it out, and because of that failure, I can stand here today. Without failure, there is no sweetness in success. There's no understanding of it. And we're saying that these people are too big to fail. When did we become the country that says the big guy needs to be? If you're a bank and you didn't know you shouldn't give a loan to somebody who can't even present a check or a piece of identification, you should fail. Conservatives believe that we are guaranteed the right to pursue happiness. We're not guaranteed happiness. Who can guarantee you happiness? Tiger Woods wasn't happy. No one is guaranteed happiness. You can pursue it. But if you happen to find success along the way on that road to happiness, conservatives believe you shouldn't be demonized or penalized for it. We believe in the right of the individual. We believe in the right of the individual. We believe in the right. You can speak out. You can disagree with me. You can make your own path. But I'm not going to pay for your mistakes. And I don't expect you to pay for my mistakes. We're all going to make them. But we all have the right to move down that road. What we don't have a right to is health care, housing, or handouts. We don't have those rights. Every time the government grows, we lose more of who we are. When you give up your right to struggle, when you say, here, you're giving more of your freedom away. Every time it grows, they have to raise the price. They raise the price of the American dream through taxes or through massive debt. We are destroying our children's future. Look, anybody who thought that George Bush was spending and it made any kind of sense was a madman. There comes a point where you must stop and realize we cannot do this. We're pricing ourselves out of the American dream. I grew up in a bakery in a small town called Mount Vernon, Washington. It's a small little town, and you're from there? What are the odds? We should get together. Do I know you? Small little town, Mount Vernon, Washington. We had the city bakery. My father ran it. I cleaned the pots and the pans and worked in the back with him. At 7 years old, we should get him on labor laws, but at 7 years old, my two sisters worked the front of the shop with my mother. That's how I grew up. I learned every lesson of hard work. I learned how to treat people. I learned how to be fair. I learned art from my father. His job wasn't a job. He was an artist. It was great. My father, eventually, business, because of the 1970s and the small town was dying. We went out of business. He moved. But you know what? I learned from that. I learned from the mistakes. I learned from the failure. I'm the first person to go to college in my family. I went for 1 semester. I took one class. Do you know why? I couldn't afford it. Now, I never once even thought, this isn't fair. I never once thought, I want to take it from him. How come he goes and I can't go? I never once thought I was owed an education. I was 30 when I went. I was trying to find answers. When I couldn't afford to go anymore, I was okay. I went to work. I picked up my kids from school. I spent the afternoon with them. I put them down to bed or whatever we did. I did my homework, if you will, for the next day's show. And then I went and I read. I educated myself. I went to the library. The books are free. I went to the bookstore. I read until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning some nights. I still read till 2, 3 o'clock in the mornings after everything's done. I educated myself. My education was free, and I'm proud of that. When did it become something of shame or ridicule to be a self-made man in America? When did it become a problem to be a small businessman and become successful? The small businessmen like my father or like me are like hundreds and millions of people all across the country. Small businessmen who work hard. They put their last dollar into it. And if they succeed, they're demonized and penalized. Why? This administration, this Congress, I don't care which party it is, they don't create jobs. The American people create jobs. And right now, they're creating and doing everything they can to save jobs. This created or saved job thing drives me out of my mind, because small businessmen are the ones on the front lines trying to save jobs. They're the ones every night. I know. I'm not going to say, like every politician, I just want to hang myself every time I hear politicians. I got a letter from a girl the other day. Shut up. I don't need to get a letter I know because I've run a business.